Example 3 in lesson 1.4. Jim and Carla are scuba diving. Jim started out 10 feet below the surface. He descended 18 feet, rose 5 feet, and descended 12 more feet. Then he rested. Carla started out at the surface. She descended 20 feet, rose 5 feet, and descended another 18 feet. Then she rested. Which person rested further below the surface or rested at a greater depth? So now I'm going to go back through my problem and I'm going to underline the key words in here that can help me identify if I am dealing with a negative integer or a positive integer. So I'm going to underline the words that tell me I'm dealing with a negative, and I'm going to circle the words that tell me I'm dealing with a positive. So descended means he's going down, and rose means that he is going up. And then I'm going to do the same for Carla. All right, now let's start with just Jim. So looking at the information about Jim, it first tells us that he started out 10 feet below the surface. So that is a negative 10. And then he descended 18 feet. So that's that negative 18. So I'm going to write minus 18 because he's going down. He rose 5 feet, so plus 5, and descended 12 more feet, which is minus 12. So now with Jim, I've got negative 10 minus 18 plus 5 minus 12. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my expression here, and I'm going to change this to all addition where I'm going to add the opposite. So I'm going to start with negative 10, but rather than subtracting 18, I'm going to add the opposite of this 18, which is a negative 18. And then I'm going to add my positive 5. And then I'm going to do the same with 12, where rather than subtracting 12, I'm going to add the opposite of 12, which is negative 12. So now what I have here is an expression that is an all addition. It contains all addition, and I've either got positive integers or negative integers. And then as I work through this problem, I can add my negatives together. So I can add my negative 10 plus negative 18, which is a negative 28. And then remember the commutative property? With addition, when it's written as all addition, I can add in any order. So rather than adding positive 5, I'm actually going to add my negative 12 to negative 28. So negative 28 plus negative 12 is negative 40. And then I'm going to add my positive 5. So my simplified expression now is negative 40 plus 5, which is equal to negative 35. So Jim rested at a depth of 35 feet below the surface. And now let's do the same thing with Carla. So Carla, she started out at the surface, so that's just at 0. And then she descended 20 feet. So she went down 20 feet, negative 20. She rose 5 feet, so plus 5. And then she descended another 18 feet. So minus 18. And just like with Jim's expression, I'm going to do the same where I rewrite my expression and I turn it into all addition by adding the opposite where I'm normally subtracting. So my new rewritten expression for Carla is -20 plus 5. And again, rather than subtracting 18, I can change it to adding the opposite, which is adding a -18. So now I have -20 plus 5 plus -18. I am going to add my negatives first. So -20, -18 is a -38. And then I'm going to add my +5. So for Carla, my simplified expression is -38 plus 5, which is equal to a -33. So Carla rested at 33 feet below the surface. And our overall question is wanting to know who rested further below the surface or rested at a greater depth. And now that we actually have figured it out, we can see that 35 feet below the surface is greater than 33 feet below the surface. So Jim rested at a greater depth.